Hi guys, it's Rick Shiels down here at Quest Golf Academy here at Prairie Sports Village. And this is the 5-year test for Titleist Drivers. My good friends at Golf Bidder have hooked me up with all of the drivers from the last 5 years from Titleist, and we're about to test them on GC Quad using Pro V1s to see how much of a change has actually been made with the Titleist drivers. So far I've done the Callaway, the TaylorMade and the Ping drivers. You can see all those on my channel. And again, thanks to Golf Bidder for hooking us up with all the golf clubs to test. We now move into Titleist. Now, Titleist are not known for bringing many golf clubs out. They're very traditional in the fact that they bring out 2 drivers every 2 years. So I've actually had to go a little bit further back, all the way to kind of 2011 really, so I could incorporate the 910 drivers into this test. So I've got the 910, which is released around 2010, 2011, almost a little bit further back. We then go to 913, which was brought out in 2013. We then move into 915 driver, which is 2015, and then the most current one, which is the Titleist 917, which was brought out in 2017. Each time Titleist bring a driver out, they bring it in a D2 model and a D3. The D2 model are the models we're going to test in this video. That is pretty much the stock driver. The D3 is a slightly smaller head shaped for a slightly lower spin rate. So I'm just going to test the D2 from 910 all the way to 917. How I'm going to carry out the test, I'm going to hit 10 driver shots with each club. I'm testing them all with the same shaft, so the fitting has not changed for all of those years, which is great for me because it means I can test this in the Diamana 70 gram extra stiff shaft, a shaft that I've been fitted for by Titleist themselves. I've got all of the heads in 9.5 and I've got all of the settings in A1, which is standard. The only club that you could move is the 917. It's got the new SureFit weight. I've kept that as neutral. So 12 gram weight in neutral. Let's give this a go. So I'm going to do 2 rounds of 5 shots each. I'm going to choose at the end of the test, I'm going to choose the best 5 shots that hit the fairway. The fairway is 20 yards wide of the center line. So 40 yards in width total. The drive shots have to be in that 20 yards off center line or it does not count. The best 5 of the shots in the fairway count. Let's get going. So D10 first. This is a very simple driver design. The traditional Titleist symbol on the top, a dark head compared to the new model. Let's give this a hit. Boom. Right guys, I'm going to fly through them. Join me at the end where we'll go through all of the shots. That's not a bad little opener. Okay, so that's 5 carried out with the 910. Some pretty good hits in there. And it felt nice. Let's move over to 913, so D2 913 next. Like I said, I'm keeping the shaft, so just need to switch this over. Okay, so 913, don't really see a lot of difference between the 910 and this one. In fact, there's hardly any difference at all visually. Let's see if there's actually any difference in performance. Same shaft, same setting. And there's still a slightly lighter head than the 910, but it's still pretty dark compared to the new lighter grey. Okay, so that's 5 done with the 913. Weirdly didn't feel as accurate. I couldn't tell much different apart from that, but it just didn't quite seem as accurate as the 910. So we now move back to the 915. Same loft, same setting, same shaft. Head shape looks very different now, the way that they've brought this in, and now this is where they brought in the active recoil channel. So this slot that sits a little bit more behind the head to optimize ball speed. Let's see if that's actually the case. So 915 next, D2. Nice head. Slightly different logo line on the top, and still like almost a sparkly head, the 915. And that is all 5 done, and apart from that one, I was just about to say how incredibly accurate it was. That's the widest one, but the first 4 that started were superb. Right, one more to go. 917, the latest model. Okay, so the latest model, the 917, still with the active recoil channel we saw in the 915, but then we've had a new introduction with the SureFit CG weighting system, which is helping tinker the ball flight if necessary. So you can put a fade weight in there or a draw weight. I've just got a neutral, 12 gram neutral. But let's see if that has any effect even in neutral over the other models that we've just tested. We've gone to a light grey head now. What I would almost see going back, probably have to go back 10 years now, this kind of colour Titleist head, it was much more popular. Then they went darker, they've got a little bit lighter grey again now. Let's give this a hit. 917 D2. You know the score, same shaft, same loft. Let's give this a whirl. Okay, so that is 5 done for the first round of testing. I'm going to circle back round again, start from 910 and work my way all the way back to 917. I'll whiz through the shots on the video, and join me once we've worked out all of the data to see if there's much of a difference. Let's go back round to 910. We'll see you in a second. Okay, so that is all 40 shots done, 10 with every club. Let's look through the data, have a little breather, and I'll come back with you with some hard evidence of how these clubs are potentially different, or maybe not. Stay tuned. Let's have a look at some data. Whew. Right, guys, so the results are in. I've calculated all of the data, and it's very interesting reading. Just to remind you of the test, I hit 10 shots with each club, 910, 913, 915, 917. I hit 5 the first round, all the clubs moved back round and hit 5 again. It's the 5 shots that hit the fairway, the best 5 that hit the fairway count. If a driver hits more than 5, it's got an advantage because the best 5 get chosen from there. If a driver has only just hit the requirement, those 5 drives are taken. Let's have a look through some data. So going through the club data first, I think it's an important place to start because it shows through the entirety of the test, all 40 shots, that I was trying to swing exactly the same, not changing the club head speed at all. So what we see here are down the columns, we see the 910, 913, 915, 917, all the D2 heads. Club head speed was almost identical all the way through the test. Just in and around 112 miles per hour, just a little bit under it or a tiny bit over it, but all pretty much in that mark. The top image there, the strike location, you can see again of all 40 shots, that was where averagely I was taking strike location on the face. And you can see some other data, path data, face data. It was all relatively neutral, all pretty neutral swinging into this shot. So that's when we can get into the club data a bit more then. Or ball data, sorry. So ball data, let's start off with 910 first. This is the oldest one I'm testing, came out kind of 2011, and we see some interesting numbers. Carry distance on average at 271. These were 5 shots out of the 10 that hit the fairway. This hit about 6 fairways, the 910, so did okay on fairway count. Ball speed was just under 160 at 159.2. spin rate was 2,700. I'm not expecting those spin rates to be super low. That's where the D3 model would probably be a little bit lower. The reason why I only test a slice of the pie is for a couple of reasons. One, for fatigue reasons. I couldn't test 8 drivers, nevertheless 20 drivers from some other brands, so I couldn't do too many tests. So I have to only limit it to a number of heads. Otherwise, I'll be knackered and the test will be not very relevant. So spin rate there, 2,700. Okay numbers. Okay for the 910. Moving to 913 driver. This one was a really interesting one for me. This felt very wide. I could hardly hit it straight. I actually, and I've got to admit this, I only actually hit 4 fairways with this driver. I couldn't even get to the 5, which I think might be the first out of all the tests that I've done. 160 club ball speed, 2,700 spin again, just similar to the 910, and 274 carry distance, but much more of a favoritism for me to go right, which is a weird one. I don't normally hit it right. So I wasn't very impressed with the consistency or the direction with, for some reason, hitting the 913. We're moving back now to the 915. This is where the model slightly changed. We've got the active recoil channel, jazzy kind of sparkly head. I quite like the look of this one. Probably out of all of them, looked the best. Now this one for me had the most control. Actually hit 8 fairways with the 915 D2. We have a look at some data here. Ball speed, 160.7, fastest so far out of the 3 that we've mentioned, and 277 carry distance for 298 total distance. Spin rate dropped down below that 2,500 mark, and that's a good kind of 200 below, or even 300 below the previous models, the 910 and the 913. This is where lower spin rate started to matter. Introduction of launch monitors, this was a very hot topic, and they obviously catered a driver and built a driver that was going to reduce that slightly down. We then move into the 917, so the newest model. This had the light grey head and the active and the speed Sure Fit CG, which again was in neutral. Active recoil channel 2.0, I think it was a new one. Very similar numbers to the 915, but we just see a little bit more ball speed at 162. Similar spin rate for an extra 3 yards of carry distance at 280 for a total distance of 300. That's really fascinating. As I reminded you at the start of the video, Titleist only really bring out drivers every 2 years. They bring out 2 drivers, a D2 and a D3. D2 ever so slightly more popular just because it's a bigger head and slightly more for the mass market. D3 slightly smaller head, lower spin rates. If we look at the data all up on the screen there now, each 2 years we saw 3 yards of extra carry distance. That is it. 2 years, every 2 years we saw 3 more yards, 3 more yards. So from the start to the end, we actually saw 9 yards of difference from 2010 to 2017. But from the models side by side, we don't see that much of a difference. The big thing, what we saw at 915 was the spin rate reduced quite a bit. Ball speed popped up a little bit more, and that got the ball traveling further. For me, the 915 was the most accurate. 917, I hit 6 fairways as well. But for me, the 915 was phenomenal. It really did hit a lot of fairways. And I can see why a lot of players still use the 915, even tour players still use the 915, potentially over the 917 if I'm honest. I actually like the look of the head more, and actually it gave me better numbers and a better sensation I was going to hit the fairway if I'm honest with you. So really interesting numbers there. We see small jumps, tiny jumps. And if you think about Titleist's kind of ethos, they've never claimed to go 10, 15, 20 yards further than some of the other manufacturers. They're very true to their roots, very traditional. They like what they like, and they'll keep bringing that out from what I see. Thanks to the guys again at GolfBidder for supplying me the golf clubs, and it's been a really interesting test with GC Quad Pro V1s, testing the Titleist range from the last probably 6 years really. Interesting to see how we see very, very small jumps, not the huge leaps that some marketing companies kind of make us feel like we expected to see. Guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. Comment below, what do you think of the small improvements throughout the range of 2 years, each cycle that Titleist bring out. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button. It's free to do. Keeps you connected with all of my content. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. And comment below, what would you like to see next? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We'll see you soon. And that was a Titleist 5-6 year challenge Very, very interesting readings. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.